Hey guys, this is Andrew from Fixing It Up. We are finally getting some better weather. I know how much people are itching to get into their gardens, so in effort to get to the swing of spring, let's build a nice simple cedar planter box. This project is fairly simple and only requires a few different tools, yet it's only going to cost you under $50. Let's take a look at some of the things we'll need. Starting off with our building material, we're only going to be using one kind of material. It's the cedar decking boards. They're 5/4 inch decking boards. However, they only measure 1 inch by 5.5 and they come in 8 feet in length. So that's what we're going to be using explicitly for this build. Now, to hold it all together, we have weather resistant wood glue, which is nice, and we have 2-inch deck screws, which are good for outdoor applications. And obviously we have a tape and a pencil and a speed square, which will come in handy a lot, especially if you are using a circular saw for this build. You can use this circular saw or a circular saw. You can get through the whole build with it, but in the essence of saving time, I'll be using other methods such as a table saw and a miter saw, but you can use this for everything. And obviously drill and impact, and again, you can get away with just a drill, but I have both, so why not?
Jumping on into the build, we're measuring for the height of our planter, which is 4 board widths tall, which I believe is 22 inches. This measurement we're going to actually carry over to the miter saw and cut ourselves a piece at 22 inches. Here you'll see me cut off the end of the board. I don't like to work with a factory edge. I'll cut myself a brand new edge and cut my piece from there. We then take that 22-inch piece we just cut and take it over to the table saw. I'm going to cut a sliver off of the factory edge there to get rid of it, and then we're going to cut into small pieces our 1x1s that we're using for the inside corners. I think it's worth mentioning that the 1x1 pieces we're ripping here is what enables the project to have a seamless look without any screw heads showing on the front. So it's important to have very straight pieces. Now that the inside corner pieces are completed and ready to go, we move on to the exterior cross pieces that make up the majority of the planter. Because I wanted this planter to be a square, I wanted to cut the shorter pieces at 16 inches and the longer pieces at 16 plus the width of the material times 2, which in this case would be 18 inches. We need 8 pieces of each length for a total of 16. Moving on to assembly, I want to achieve a kind of finger joint look to this planter, and in order to do that, you have to kind of stagger your pieces in a sequence of short, long, short, long. And to start install, you're actually going to take your corner piece and line that up flush with your first shorter board. Once you have it lined up perfectly, you're going to want to screw that in. To install the second board, the longer one, you're going to want a overhang the thickness of the material. So I suggest to take a scrap piece and use that as a guide to get that perfect. You're going to install each board with that pattern while maintaining a tight gap through each side. Once you have both sides complete, you're going to want to take a measurement in between each set of corner pieces. This will be for the ledger that our bottom will rest on. Our internal ledgers were made in the same fashion that our corner pieces were. They were cut to length at the miter saw and ripped to width at the table saw, then secured into place. Now we're going to bring both these sides together, and I found the easiest way to do this was by starting from bottom to top. And to get this all started, I married up 2 of the longer boards with one of the sides. That way I have a bit of a crutch when I attach both of these sides together. To get the other side on, we simply flush either end to the 2 boards and secure. The rest is pretty simple, as it's just dropping the appropriate size board into place and screwing it in. The one thing that may end up happening is that your corner pieces may not be entirely straight, so depending on how the wood moved, you may have to push or pull the sides to get your boards to install snug. To work your way up, I recommend to finish one board, then flip it around and do the other. That way you aren't left with trying to drive in screws at an awkward angle. After all the sideboards are done, this is the point at which we're at. To get the last pieces that form the bottom of the planter, I measured and cut 3 pieces that would easily fit onto the ledgers. I then marked out the locations in which the notch cuts would be needed to go around the 1x1s on 2 of the 3 boards and cut it with a jigsaw. Yes, I know I kinda cheated by using a different tool. However, this cut can also be done with a handsaw as well. After the 2 notch pieces were cut, I measured the board width needed to fill the gap and ripped my last piece to complete the bottom. You can probably stop at this point, but I decided to add a top trim piece to finish it off. I did so by measuring the inside edge in which I want to cover. The miter saw was set to 45 degrees and pieces were cut measuring from inside corner to inside corner. Each piece was then separately installed by screwing in from the top. Some adjustments could be needed to make tighter corners.
All right guys, that wraps this one up. I think I'm gonna make another one of these to go matching on the other side of the house. I think that'll look really nice. If I were to change something about it though, I'd probably make the ledger pieces a little smaller just to give it a bit of a thinner profile, just because it is a bit of a beast to move around and whatnot. It's kind of bulky, but overall, I do like it. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, a like just down below. And if you loved it, please consider subscribing as it'll keep you up to date with my most current content. I have videos planned every second Saturday with all revolving around DIY projects just like this one. Till next time, guys.